Hey, what's up guys? It's Mr. B and this is my recap video on CES 2014. Today I'll be covering three companies and their announcements: Asus, Samsung, and Valve. Starting with Asus, the first interesting thing that they brought to the table was the Asus Transformer Book Duet TD300 Dual OS, Windows, Android 2-in-1, whatever. This is basically just another one of their Transformer books, but dual boots Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean and Windows 8.1. It comes packed with Full HD 13.3-inch multi-touch display, up to an Intel Core i7 processor, 4 GB of RAM, up to a 128GB SSD in the tablet, up to a 1TB HDD in the keyboard dock, 802.11ac Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, and a bunch of standard ports. Next, Asus announced 5 different phones: the Zenfone 4, Zenfone 5, Zenfone 6, Padfone Mini, and Padfone X. The Zenfone 4 comes with a 4-inch TFT 800x400 pixel display, a 1.2 GHz Intel Atom CPU with quad-thread hyper-threading technology, Android 4.3 Jelly Bean, a 0.3 megapixel front-facing camera, a 5 megapixel back-facing camera, and 1 GB of RAM. The Zenfone 5 and Zenfone 6 both pack an Intel CPU with quad-thread hyper-threading technology, 1 GB of RAM, Android 4.3 Jelly Bean, and a 2 megapixel front-facing camera. The Zen 5 has an 8 megapixel rear camera, while the Zen 6 has a 13 megapixel rear-facing camera. Also, Asus had 2 new Padphones, starting with the Padfone Mini. The idea behind it is that you can mount your phone on your tablet display, letting you watch movies on a bigger screen than your phone. The Padfone Mini has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 1.4 GHz processor, 1 GB of RAM, a 4.3 QHD 960x540 IPS display with capacitive multi-touch, a front 2 megapixel camera, and a rear 8 megapixel camera. The actual pad has a 7-inch WXGA 1280x800 IPS display with capacitive multi-touch. Now, none of these phones, in my opinion, seem like they're going to do very well in the US market. The specs aren't that great compared to the others, especially the low-res screens, but Asus has a solution aimed more at the pros: the Padfone X. The Padfone X comes preloaded with Android 4.4 KitKat, a Full HD 5-inch display at 441 pixels per inch, which is way higher than any of Apple's products, and the 9-inch pad dock at Full HD, and that's pretty much all I know. I'd like to hear more about the phone, but nothing has been said since CES. Moving on to Samsung, probably the biggest of the three, I will only be covering the new tablet line. If you watched Samsung's event, you would have seen the announcement of the Pro series lineup. You also probably would have seen Michael Bay melt down on stage in front of hundreds of people. This new lineup includes the Galaxy Note Pro, the Galaxy Tab Pro 12.2-inch, Galaxy Tab Pro 10.1-inch, and the Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4-inch. The Note Pro and Tab Pro 12.2-inch are the exact same tablet, minus the S Pen on the Tab Pro. Both tablets have a 12.2-inch 2560x1600 TFT LCD, up to 64GB of internal storage, expandable with up to 64GB microSD card, a rear-facing 8-megapixel camera with LED flash, a 2-megapixel front-facing camera, a Quad A15 1.9 GHz, and Quad A7 1.3 GHz processor for the Wi-Fi/3G model, and a Quad-Crate 2.3 GHz processor for the LTE model. Both the Tab Pro 10.1-inch and the Tab Pro 8.4-inch are exactly the same to the others, except they both have a max of 32 gigs internal storage and 2 GB of RAM. All of these tablets ship with Android 4.4 KitKat and come with Samsung's new Magazine UX, basically the ugly TouchWiz UX with a more magazine-like interface. Now, I'm fairly excited for these new tablets. Although I despise Samsung's Android skin, I would like to see a Google Play edition of one of these tablets. Since we already have the LG G Pad 8.3, why doesn't Samsung throw in the Tab Pro 10.1-inch? Or a new Nexus 10? Or was that Asus's job? Last, but definitely not least, are Valve's new products. While I'm not a big gamer, or at least not anymore, I was excited to hear about the 14 new Steam boxes, or Steam machines, that Valve had to show off. The Debian Linux-based OS, titled SteamOS, was released to the public back in December. This new OS is basically the Steam game platform permanently stuck in big picture mode, a mode designed to look better on a television. While the OS may not be that interesting, the new machines made for it definitely captured my attention. Alienware, Alternate, CyberPower PC, Digital Storm, Falcon Northwest, Gigabyte, iBuyPower, MainGear, Material.net, NextSpa, Origin PC, Scan, Web Holland, or whatever, and Zotac are in charge of laying down the initial rules for Steam machines to come. I think, though, that the most important box out of all of these is the Alienware machine. Alienware, for those who don't know, is a division of Dell specifically aimed towards gaming desktops and laptops. I believe that this will be their first Linux-powered gaming PC, but if they're entering the Linux world, then we know that this is serious. There you have it, CES 2014. This is Mr. B. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.